Hi, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Papermaze, and I'm working with the gorgeous Simple Stories Simple Vintage Country Harvest collection. I absolutely love this. It's perfect for scrapping my many hundreds of photos of us at pumpkin farms recently. It's one of my favourite things to do in October. I love pumpkins, so I've got loads of photos to scrap, and this collection is perfect for that. And I've got two photos I've selected today, and they are landscape photos, which I really struggle to scrap for some reason, especially if I'm using more than one. So if I'm using two portrait photos, I tend to kind of overlap them or stagger them slightly, and I really struggle to do that with landscape photos. I just don't find it looks natural when I do it. So instead of doing that, I've stuck them to white cardstock, and I've trimmed them off with a border, so I've kind of got like a film strip going on with just two photos. Normally if I'm going to create a film strip I would use three, but that would have been sort of taken up a lot of space on my layout, which I didn't want. I just wanted to do the two photos. So I've printed them slightly smaller than 3x4, and then I've mounted them onto white cardstock to give that film strip kind of look. Yeah, I don't know why I struggle with landscape. I generally use portrait or square photos instead, but anyhow, that's just me. Bit weird, but there you go. Right, so onto my layout. I'm going to go for kind of a grid layout today. So I've cut 4 of the pattern papers into squares that are 4x4 inches, and I'm just marking myself here a 2-inch border so that I know I'm going to get those stuck centrally. So starting from that top left one then, that is the Give Thanks pattern paper, the B-side. The one next to it, that kind of turquoisey checkered paper, is the B-side of the 4x6 Elements. The orange kind of plaid pattern there is the B-side of Autumn Glory, and then the one in the bottom right is Happy Harvest. And like I said, they are 4x4 squares. I've distressed all the edges with my edge distresser to give a bit of texture. And then I'm sticking these down flat on my background. Now normally I would have used foam behind these because I love to have loads of dimension, but I'm going to stick foam behind my photo, and I'm also going to bring in one of the kind of chipboard pieces. I think they're like chipboard clusters, I think they're called, and they're quite thick themselves, so I've decided to go flat with my squares, just so that it wasn't too dimensional. My albums are really bulky as it is, and as much as I love the dimension, I have to draw the line somewhere. So I've stuck those squares down with double-sided paper, and I felt like my photos needed something behind it, so I'm using 2 of the basil cardstocks from the Matchmaker pack. So I've done a layer of the orange first, and then I'm going to bring in this gorgeous colour here. I can't remember what it is. I left the branding strip on my desk typically, so that I could give you the name in this video, and I'm not in my craft room at the moment, but it's in the Matchmaker pack and it's absolutely gorgeous. It matches really well with this collection. So I've added those 2 layers behind, and I'm just going to nip in there with my distresser and distress those edges as well, because I've done the edges of the squares, so I like to kind of keep things consistent. And I forgot to do the orange one before I stuck that kind of marine-y colour down, so I'm having to try and get in with my scissor blade there to distress the edges. Bit easily done. And I'm going to have my photos kind of on the left-hand side there. I've decided to go with them at an angle. I felt like if I had them kind of lined perfectly with the squares, like kind of straight on the page, I felt like it made the page too blocky, so I'm going to go with a kind of diagonal look. And these are those chipboard clusters I mentioned. They are called chipboard clusters. I'm looking at them on the Simple Stories website. They are beautiful, and they've got different kind of coloured doilies on some of them. So I'm using the one that's got the green on it because I've got a lot of green in my photos, and there's not an awful lot of green in the embellishments I'm going to use, so I wanted to bring in a little bit more green. So I've pulled that one out, and I've cut it in half so that I'm not wasting the half that's not visible. And I've also pulled out another piece from that same pack, and I've stuck it on top. It's that little it says autumn colours, and it's got a couple of pumpkins, and I've stuck that kind of overlapping my photo, hanging off the edge. They are both from that chipboard clusters set, and I know where they're going to go, so I'm going to commit and get those stuck in place. I've also decided on my photo already. On my title, I'm gonna use that gorgeous colourful word from the foam stickers, because my photos, if you can see, are of my little boy leaning into a crate of pumpkins, and they are all different colours and absolutely beautiful. So I thought colourful worked really well with that, and it also brings in some of that kind of teal sort of marine sort of colouring that you can see some of the pumpkins in the embellishments have got, and then that cardstock that I've put behind my photo is the same colour, so it draws in a bit more of that. Now I'm just going through the collection, seeing what I've got that I can use to kind of embellish my page. There's quite a bit on this collection, especially with like the 4x4 elements, the 4x6 elements, pattern papers. There's some lovely bits on there that you could fussy cut, and I've done that for that kind of top right hand corner of my grid there. One of the patterned papers, I think it's a 3x4 elements. I've cut out one of the 3x4 cards on it, and it said pumpkin kisses and harvest wishes, and I've cut those out, just those words, those blocks there, and I'm gonna have them up on the top right hand corner of the page there. And I've also got a crate of pumpkins here that has been fussy cut from the 4x4 elements paper. So I'm going to have those on the top right hand corner there, and I really faff with those words because I kind of liked how I had them initially, and then I took them off to add some foam behind them, and then I couldn't get it quite right again. So you'll see in a minute I moved them around quite a lot before deciding where to stick them. I wanted them kind of staggered, but I didn't want them to look too blocky. And I know it was that ampersand that was really bugging me, because it's just one character on its own, on a square piece effectively, and it was just really bugging me. So it takes me a while to get these into place, but I'm just adding some 3D craft foam behind those. I couldn't be bothered with foam pads and pulling all the bits off, so I've used that adhesive foam instead. And I'm going to stick some double-sided tape on the back there, and you'll see here I get them stuck down, I don't like it, and I move them I think several times in the end before I'm happy with them. So I think I'm almost there with my final positioning of those. I kind of gave up in the end. I've also, on the bottom left of my layout there, got some beautifully coloured pumpkins. Those are also from the foam sticker sheet, the same one that title is from, and I love those. I think they are absolutely stunning, those foam stickers. There's loads on the sheet, so I should have really bought an extra pack of those because I'm going to run out pretty fast. I've also got the sticker sheet there. I've pulled off a couple of pumpkins. I've stuck them onto white cardstock because I'm not 100% sure where I want to put them at the moment. So by sticking them to the cardstock, it kind of removes the sticky element. It means I can move them around as if they were die cuts or ephemeral pieces until I've decided where I want them. And in the end, they go over on the right there on that bottom right hand kind of grid. And I also take off a sticker that says pumpkin everything, which I thought was quite fitting because there's lots of pumpkins in these photos and I am literally obsessed with pumpkins. I buy loads. I do a little photo shoot with my son every Halloween, and then I decorate the doorstep with them for Halloween night, and then I use them to make loads of goodies. So I love to bake with pumpkin, so we get pumpkin pie, we make pumpkin muffins, pumpkin snickerdoodles are our favourite. We do white chocolate and pumpkin snickerdoodles, kind of like cookies, and they are gorgeous. I do those every year, which is why I buy loads of pumpkins, so they never go to waste. I'm just obsessed with pumpkins, really, it seems. Right, so further embellishing then, I've pulled out a couple of bits here from the bits and pieces pack, I think it was. There's two in this collection. You've got the harvest bits and pieces, and then I think you've got one that's just called bits and pieces. So I've pulled out a leaf sprig. It's got some lovely green and orange tones in it, and also a tag, which I cut in half, and I've just layered those up behind my photos onto some foam. and I'm going to add some orange embroidery thread through the top of that tag. I'm not really a fan of leaving tags kind of naked. They've got a hole there. I like to punch the hole and use them, so I always thread something through the top of my tags, usually coloured embroidery thread to match the collection I'm working with. So I've got those at the top of my photo, so that's kind of that top left-hand quadrant sort of finished, if you like. I've got that chipboard cluster taking up most of that quadrant, and then I've got those two pieces that I've popped there. And I've added a couple of hearts as well from the bits and pieces pack that I've raised up on foam, one down on the bottom left and one up on the top right. And I think that's pretty much me done. I do faff a little bit trying to decide if I want to put a border or something around the edge of the layout. I felt like it needed something, and I tried several of the pattern papers and none of them were really working. I wasn't sort of trying any of them going, yes, that's the one. So I walked away from it, came back to it the next morning and decided actually I just wanted it as it was. I didn't add anything else at all around the edge. So that is the finished layout. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope it's given you some inspiration, and I'll pop the link to this collection in the description box below down at Papermaze. Grab it whilst you can, because if there's any left in stock, I can guarantee you I will be buying it, because it's an absolutely stunning collection and it's been really enjoyable to work with. So thanks again for joining me. Like I said, that link will be in the description box below. I've got loads of close-ups coming up for you, and I'll see you next time.